Changing the name of the Southern Baptist Convention. In June, the messengers of the Southern Baptist Convention, the SBC, will gather in Orlando, Florida for their annual meeting. They'll approve budgets, make resolutions, send missionaries, and choose their next president. I wonder if the convention should also consider changing its name. Perhaps I'll make the motion myself on the convention floor. I'm not talking about another effort at an unofficial name change, like in 2012 when 53% of Southern Baptists kept their legal name, but said people could, if they wanted, refer to the convention informally as Great Commission Baptists. No, I'm talking about a bona fide new name for the SBC. Such an action makes sense because names mean something. We all know the importance of a name to communicate meaning. This importance goes all the way back to the Bible, where the names of key leaders are often selected for the role they will serve. Abraham's name is important because it means father of many. Jesus' name is important because it means the Lord saves. Because names communicate meaning, Southern Baptists might consider changing their name to Baptists Debating the Existence of Women Pastors. We could call it BDUP for short. I admit, it's not the most exciting name, but it does have the virtue of telling the truth. There's nothing particularly exciting about the name of my church, the First Baptist Church of Jacksonville, Florida, but every word in it is important. It's the same for BDUP. What it loses in style, it gains in honesty about what we do every year when we get together. The SBC started its contemporary debate about the issue of women preachers in Anaheim, California in 2022. The issue has drawn massive attention every year since. It's certain to come up again in 2026, creating a 5-year stretch of distraction on a straightforward issue. How did we get here? The SBC believes local churches are independent and cannot be controlled by the convention. But the SBC reserves the same freedom for itself that it confesses for local churches. That means the SBC is free to say which independent local churches it will cooperate with and which ones it will not. For years, Southern Baptists have operated under the assumption that our confessional statement, the Baptist Faith and Message, or the BFM, controls which churches can be in friendly cooperation with our convention and which ones cannot. In 2022, the committee Southern Baptists used to determine the churches considered to be in good standing raised a question about this established practice. In response to several churches in the convention who had female pastors, they wondered whether the prohibition against female pastors in the BFM was intended to create a standard for convention membership. They asked Southern Baptists to give them guidance. Most Southern Baptists were immediately alarmed that a crucial convention committee did not believe our very clear confessional document provided enough guidance. In every meeting since, Southern Baptists have been trying to supply the requested guidance. Huge numbers of Southern Baptists have voted every year to remove member churches with female pastors. In 2023, the convention amended the BFM to make clear that the Bible forbids women serving in pastoral roles regardless of the terminology that is used for that role. Southern Baptists have also sought repeatedly to change our Constitution to make clear that the statements in the BFM on female pastors are meant to control which churches can participate in convention work. None of the efforts to amend the Constitution have succeeded, even though they have had the support of most Southern Baptists. Each year, large majorities vote for these amendments, but each year, the amendments have failed to reach the supermajority required to pass. The reason for this has been because just enough Southern Baptists listen to loud voices in the convention who say the amendment isn't necessary. It is ironic that every time these influencers succeed in persuading just enough people to believe the amendment is unnecessary for clarity, we always are back in another conflict over clarity in a few short months. That gets us to 2026. In the last year, a controversy has arisen between the Southern Baptists of Texas Convention, the SBTC, and Fielder Church in Arlington, Texas, affiliated with SBTC, Texas Baptists, and the Southern Baptist Convention. Jason Paradis, the lead pastor of Fielder Church, has been clear that their congregation believes the role of pastor is open to women, and several women on their website were described as serving in that role. When this became an issue in Texas, Fielder Church refused to change their position, but they did change their language. Now, instead of using the title of pastor or elder to describe those in spiritual authority in their church, they use the language of shepherd for both men and women serving in the pastoral office. This change means that Southern Baptists now face two problems instead of only one. We have the convictional issue of what Baptists must believe regarding women in pastoral roles. Now, we have the added problem of whether Southern Baptists can have this conversation honestly, or whether we will play linguistic shell games with the clear teaching of Scripture. This is a moment that requires honesty. The truth is that this is not the way a healthy convention of churches behaves. Healthy conventions don't reject the clear and repeated teachings of Scripture because those teachings are politically incorrect or unpopular. Healthy conventions don't seek to resolve obvious convictional disagreement with dishonest euphemisms. And healthy conventions don't insist on having the same foolish and distracting debates every single year. Something simply must change. Key leaders in our convention know this is true. Al Mohler, president of the Southern Baptist Theological Seminary, has addressed the issue of conviction, saying the Southern Baptist Convention will not survive ambiguity on the question of female pastors, whatever they are called. Clint Presley, president of the SBC, has said the practice of Fielder Church is in clear violation of the BFM. Southern Baptists need to get ready to address this in 2026. What will Southern Baptists do? Votes to remove churches with female pastors from the convention never get less than 90% of the vote. That likely means that Fielder Church does not have a bright future in the SBC while they persist in their present course. The larger matter is what the SBC will do to avoid having this issue be a distraction at every convention meeting until the return of Jesus Christ. Some will want to reintroduce another amendment to the SBC Constitution. With the majority of Southern Baptists, I have favored the previous amendment attempts. Such an approach would guarantee that the SBC will be talking about this issue until at least 2027, since it takes 2 years of supermajorities to approve a constitutional amendment. An amendment would finally bring a conclusion to this persistent debate, but without a change of heart from influencers who continually deprive the measure of the required supermajority, it could turn into another waste of time. Willie Rice is the pastor of Calvary Baptist Church, has supported the previous constitutional amendments, is running for SBC president in 2026, and has proposed a potential solution. He's calling for a special SBC task force to make specific recommendations, stipulating that to be in friendly cooperation, churches must embrace the biblical teaching that only qualified men can serve as pastors. Such a report should pass easily, since it would only require a simple majority for approval. This approach is a convictional and practical one that could bring an end to a half-decade of arguments on what the vast majority of Southern Baptists believe is an uncomplicated matter. Of course, if it doesn't work, we could always change the name. SBC or BDUP. Perhaps we'll get to decide in June.